बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। तो आज की इस वीडियो में हम सी सेम वेबसाइट में जो माया हैं उनसे आज हम हरी अप जो कि यानी कि इंग्लिश का वर्ड है जिसको हम इंग्लिश का फ्रेज भी कह सकते हैं जो कि लोग यूजुअली बातचीत करते हुए इस्तेमाल करते हैं। तो आज हम सी सेम वेबसाइट में जो माया हैं उनसे हरी अप इस लफ्ज़ के बारे में कुछ इस तरह के रैंडम से सवालात करेंगे। तो फिर चलिए बिना टाइम जाए कि वीडियो को शुरू करते हैं। ओके, सो व्हाट डज द फ्रेज हरी अप रियली मीन?
Since we've already looked at the origins and the psychology of it, are you looking for a fresh take? Or maybe how it sounds in other languages?
Okay, so where did the phrase hurry up really originate?
Since we've already hit the history of it, I'll give you the shorthand version. It mostly comes from the old French word hurrier, which basically meant to shout or yell, kind of like the way people would shout to get someone to move faster. It's a very loud way to start a conversation, right? Does that make sense, or are you looking for something deeper?
Yes, that makes sense. Okay, so another question I just wanna ask you is that why do people use hurry up so often?
Honestly, it's probably because life feels like one big deadline these days between the constant notifications and the fast pace of everything. We've just gotten used to that feeling of urgency. It's almost like a default setting now. Do you feel like people are more impatient than they used to be?
Yeah, okay, so another question is that why do people often use hurry up and when they use the word hurry up?
It usually pops up whenever there's a gap between where someone is and where they need to be, literally or mentally. It's the go-to phrase for everything from a parent trying to get a kid out the door to a boss pushing for a deadline. Most of the time, it's just a reflex when someone feels their own anxiety about time starting to leak onto other people. Have you noticed anyone in your life who's a chronic hurry up person?
Okay, so another question is that is hurry up really used in different cultures? Is hurry up really used in different cultures?
Absolutely. Every culture has its own version of this, though the way it's delivered can be totally different. Some places are much more direct about it, while others use softer language to nudge someone along without being so blunt. It's kind of a universal human experience, just with different flavors. Do you think some cultures are naturally more rushed than others? That's an interesting way to put it. I think it's a fascinating mix of the environment they live in and the values they prioritize. For some, speed is the ultimate goal, while for others, the process is what matters
Okay, so
most.
another
Does that
question. Okay, so another question I wanna ask you is that when do the children usually learn this phrase?
probably around the same time they start following a schedule? Once they're in that world of shoes on, teeth brush, time for school, it becomes a permanent part of the soundtrack of their childhood. It's usually one of the first ways they experience the concept of time pressure. Do you think it's too early for kids to feel that kind of rush?
Yeah. Okay, so another question is that why do parents often say hurry up to their kids?
Usually because they're managing a dozen things at once. Parents are often the ones juggling the logistics of the whole house, so when the kid is taking forever to put on one shoe, it feels like the entire morning is collapsing. It's less about the kid being slow and more about the parent's own stress about the clock. Do you think that's a fair way to look at it?
Okay, so another question is that can saying hurry up too often make stress?
Oh, for sure. Hearing it over and over can definitely spike the stress levels. It's like a little alarm bell going off in your head that tells you you're not doing enough or you're too slow, which just makes it harder to actually focus and get things done. It's basically a cycle of anxiety. Do you think that's why some people get even slower when they're told to hurry up?
Okay, so another question is that what emotions are commonly connected to this phrase?
It's a whole spectrum. On one end, you've got frustration and anxiety, that feeling of being pushed or not being enough for the moment. But on the other end, it can actually feel like excitement or anticipation, like when you're rushing to get to a concert or a trip. Most of the time, though, it just feels like a little bit of pressure. Which one do you think pops up more often for you?
Nothing. So another question is that hearing, how does hearing hurry up affects our mood?
It usually puts people on edge. It's like a sudden shift from whatever you're doing to a state of alert, which can make you feel irritable or just plain overwhelmed. It basically steals your peace of mind in an instant. Do you feel like your mood shifts immediately when you hear it?
Yes, sometimes. Okay, so another question is that how does hurry up really? Okay, so another question is that why do people feel rushed in their modern life?
It's a lot, isn't it? We're essentially living in a world that never sleeps. Between smartphones and the internet, the expectation is that you're always available and always moving. The boundary between work time and home time has basically vanished, so the rush doesn't stop when the clock hits 5. It's like we're all running a race that doesn't actually have a finish line. Do you feel like you're always on the clock, or do you have a way to shut it all out?
Okay, so another question I wanna ask you is that was life slower before technology?
That's a big question. I think it was, but in a different way. Like people had more forced patience. You didn't just track a pizza in real time, you just waited. Does that feeling of waiting actually make things feel slower? Or do you think it's just that we're more rushed now?
Yeah, we're more rushed now. Okay, so another question is that how do deadlines make people hurry?
It's like a ticking clock in the back of your head. It creates this artificial urgency where the goal isn't just finishing the work, but beating the clock. Once that deadline looms, the focus shifts from quality to just getting it done. Do you find that deadlines actually help you focus or do they just stress you out?
Okay, so another question is that what happens when people rush too much?
That's usually where the wheels fall off. You start missing the small details and suddenly you're making mistakes you'd never make if you just breathed for a second. But it's not just the work, it's the burnout. When you're always in a rush, your brain never actually gets to reset. Do you feel like that happens more in your work or just in general life?
Okay, so another question is that can hurrying sometimes lead to mistakes?
Oh, absolutely. It's almost a guarantee. When you're rushing, your brain skips steps to save time, and those skip steps are usually where the errors hide. It's like trying to run through a doorway without looking. You're more likely to stub your toe. Do you have a specific mistake you're thinking of, or just wondering in general?
Okay, so another question is that are there any situations where rushing is important? If there are any situations, so tell me the situations where hurrying is important.
Definitely. Emergencies are the obvious ones. Like if there's a fire or someone needs medical help, in those moments, every second actually counts, and hesitation can be dangerous. Then you have those split second timing things, like in sports or a race, where a fraction of a second is the difference between winning and losing. I wonder if you think those high pressure moments are more exhilarating or just terrifying.
Okay, so are there any situations where people should avoid rushing?
Pretty much anywhere where the pretty much anywhere where the cost of a mistake is too high. Like if you're performing surgery or wiring a house, you definitely want a slow, methodical approach. Then there's the emotional side of things, like having a hard conversation with someone you care about. If you rush through that just to get it over with, you're probably going to miss the actual point of the conversation.
Okay, so
Do you think you're more of a
another question is that how can people stay calm when time is limited?
It starts with the breath. Just taking one deep breath can trick your brain into thinking you're not in a crisis, which stops that panic spiral. Then it's all about prioritizing, picking the one most important thing and ignoring the rest until that's done. It's a lot easier to feel calm when you have a plan. even if it's a tiny one. Do you usually go straight into panic mode or do you have a way to ground yourself?
Yeah, both. Okay, so another question is that what is the difference being fast and being rushed? If there is any difference, so tell me the difference.
There's a huge difference. Being fast is about efficiency. It's when you've got the skill and the flow to move quickly without losing control. But being rushed is about pressure. It's that frantic feeling where you're chasing the clock and your mind is racing faster than your hands can keep up. One feels like a superpower, the other feels like a panic attack. Do you think you're usually operating from a place
Okay,
of
so
skill or pressure?
another question is that can rushing affect creativity?
It definitely can, and usually not in a good way. Creativity needs room to breathe. When you're rushing, you're usually just looking for the fastest route to the finish line, which means you're taking the most obvious path. You lose that what if phase where the really interesting, unexpected ideas happen. It's hard to be innovative when you're just trying to survive the next 10 minutes. Do you feel like your best ideas come when you're relaxed or when you're under pressure?
Okay, so another question is that do artists or singers benefit from slowing down? Do artists and writers benefit from slowing down?
They absolutely do. For them, slowing down is where the magic happens. It's the difference between a song that's just catchy and one that actually hits you in the gut because they took the time to find the exact right word or note. When they rush, the work can end up feeling generic, like they were just filling in the blanks instead of exploring a feeling. I've heard that some of the best pieces of art come from these long periods of boredom or silence where the artist just lets the idea simmer. Do you think art feels more authentic when you can tell the creator took
Okay,
their time with it?
so another question is that is hurry up always polite?
Not always. It really depends on the tone. If it's said with a smile or a little nudge, it can be fine. But if it's snapped at someone, it usually feels like a demand rather than a request. It can make the other person feel like they're just a hurdle in your way instead of a person. Do you think the way someone says it
Okay,
matters more than the
okay, so
words they're actually using?
okay. So another question is that what final advice you can give to the people who feel rushed?
The biggest thing is to remember that the world won't end if you're 5 minutes late. Most of the time, the urgency we feel is just a story we're telling ourselves. Like, try to find one small pocket of the day where you're intentionally slow, like really tasting your coffee or just listening to the wind to remind your brain that you're in control, not the clock. Does that feel like something you could actually do, or does that sound too simple to work?
I'm nothing. So it was nice talking to you today. So I will talk to you later. So goodbye for now. तो जी फिर आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही था। अगर आप लोगों को ये वीडियो पसंद आई तो इस वीडियो को लाइक करिएगा, शेयर करिएगा और चैनल को भी सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिएगा इसी से रिलेटेड वीडियोस देखने के लिए। तो फिर आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही था। मिलते हैं आपसे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़।